Venezuela missile strike. 84. Venezuelan missiles launched toward U.S. naval base. Largest South American attack in history. $340 million in Soviet-era hardware screaming through Caribbean skies. America's Aegis destroyers had 4 minutes to respond. November 10, 2025. 5:42 a.m. Eastern Caribbean Time. Roosevelt Roads. Naval station in Puerto Rico detects the unthinkable. Mass missile launch from Venezuelan territory. Space-based infrared systems register 84 distinct thermal signatures. Scud variants, SS-21 Scarab missiles, Chinese C-8SO2 anti-ship weapons. Every ballistic and cruise missile in Venezuela's arsenal fires simultaneously. Target coordinates locked on American military installations across Puerto Rico and the U.S. Virgin Islands. 2,400 American service members in the crosshairs. Families sleeping in base housing. Ships moored in harbor. Aircraft parked on runways. Venezuela's dictator just launched the most audacious attack on American territory since Pearl Harbor. The missile swarm spreads across 200 miles of Caribbean airspace. Ballistic missiles arc high. Apogee reaches 40 miles altitude. Terminal velocity approaching Mach 5 as they plummet toward targets. Cruise missiles skim wavetops at 500 feet elevation, flying low to avoid radar detection. Mach 0.9 speed. Sea skimming profiles designed to defeat ship defenses. The attack plan shows sophistication beyond Venezuela's normal capabilities. Russian military advisors spent 6 months preparing this strike. Chinese technicians programmed missile flight paths. Iranian intelligence provided target data. This is a coordinated assault by America's adversaries using Venezuela as their proxy. Venezuelan leadership broadcasts the attack live on state television. Today, we strike at the heart of American imperialism, announces their defense minister. Our righteous missiles will devastate Yankee military forces. The era of U.S. domination ends now. Caracas erupts in orchestrated celebrations. Thousands wave flags in government-organized rallies. State media plays triumphant music. They expect American casualties in the hundreds. Infrastructure destruction in the billions. A propaganda victory that reshapes Latin American geopolitics. A demonstration that attacking U.S. territory carries no consequences. But what they didn't know was that 3 Arleigh Burke-class destroyers were already at sea. USS Arleigh Burke herself operates 80 miles northeast of Puerto Rico, DDG-51, the first of her class, 9,200 tons of guided missile destroyer. Her Aegis combat system represents the most sophisticated air defense technology ever deployed. SPY-1D phased array radar tracks 250 targets simultaneously. 4 arrays provide 360-degree coverage. The radar detects baseball-sized objects at 200 miles range. Missile-sized targets light up the displays at 300 miles. Burke carries 96 vertical launch cells, 64 loaded with SM-2 Block 3B surface-to-air missiles, 24 loaded with SM-6 dual-role interceptors. 8 cells hold SM-3 ballistic missile killers. Each SM-6 costs $4.3 million. Each SM-3 costs $12.5 million. The ship carries over $430 million in missiles alone. USS Gridley patrols 60 miles south of St. Croix. DDG-101, Flight 2A variant with dual SPY-1DV radar arrays. Enhanced ballistic missile defense capability. Her vertical launch cells hold 96 missiles, mix of SM-2, SM-6, and ESSM evolved Sea Sparrow missiles. The ESSM quad packs allow 4 interceptors per cell. Gridley actually carries 128 defensive missiles despite only 96 launch cells. Her crew drills ballistic missile defense scenarios monthly. They hold the fleet record for simultaneous target engagement. 14 targets destroyed in a single exercise. That record is about to be shattered. USS Oscar Austin operates closest to Venezuelan airspace. DDG-79, positioned 40 miles west of Puerto Rico. Her early warning radar detected the missile launches 90 seconds before space-based systems confirmed the attack. Combat Information Center went to General Quarters immediately. Aegis system activated autonomous defense mode. The destroyer can engage threats without human authorization in this configuration. Computer systems calculate threat trajectories, assign intercept priorities, and launch defensive missiles in microseconds. Human crews monitor but don't interfere unless override is necessary. What's your defensive priority? Type A for protecting the base first. Type B for destroying all inbound missiles simultaneously. At 5:43 a.m., exactly 68 seconds after Venezuelan launch, Oscar Austin fires first. 6 SM-2 missiles roar from vertical launch cells. The cells blow open. Gas generators create explosive thrust. Each missile accelerates vertically at 45 Gs. After 30 feet of travel, the solid rocket motor ignites. Massive acceleration. The SM-2 reaches Mach 3.5 in 8 seconds. Guidance systems activate. Data link connects to ship's Aegis radar. The missiles receive continuous targeting updates. Course corrections happen 20 times per second. Each SM-2 homes on a separate ballistic missile, still climbing toward apogee. Intercept altitude will be 38 miles. Time to impact is 112 seconds. Gridley launches 12 seconds later. Her computer identified the cruise missile threats. Lower, slower, but harder to track against sea clutter. The ESSM interceptors quad pack in her forward VLS cells. 16 missiles launch in a rippling sequence, one every 1.2 seconds. The sound is continuous thunder. Each ESSM weighs 620 pounds. Thrust vectoring nozzles allow extreme maneuverability. These missiles pull 50 G turns. They're designed to hit agile aircraft and sea-skimming cruise missiles. Active radar seekers lock onto targets at 10 miles range. Terminal homing begins. No escape for the Venezuelan cruise missiles. Arleigh Burke engages the high-altitude ballistic threats. Her SM-3 interceptors represent the pinnacle of missile defense technology. These weapons operate in space. Kinetic kill vehicles separate from the missile body at apogee. Liquid fuel divert thrusters provide precise maneuvering. Infrared sensors detect the heat signature of incoming warheads. Onboard computers calculate intercept geometry. The kill vehicle doesn't explode. It doesn't need to. Closing velocity exceeds 20,000 miles per hour. Kinetic impact vaporizes both the warhead and the interceptor. 8 SM-3 missiles launch. Each targets a Scud ballistic missile. These Venezuelan Scuds carry 2,000-pound high-explosive warheads. One hit could devastate a city block. Burke's mission is zero leakers. Nothing gets through. The Caribbean sky becomes a light show. Contrails from 34 defensive missiles. Radar energy floods the airspace. Electronic warfare systems jam Venezuelan guidance signals. Cruise missiles lose GPS lock. They default to inertial navigation, less accurate, easier to defeat. The first intercepts happen at 5:45 a.m. Oscar Austin's SM-2 missiles reach their targets. 6 explosions at 38 miles altitude. Brilliant flashes visible from the ground. Each successful intercept produces a debris cloud. Radar tracks thousands of fragments, but the warheads are destroyed. Threat eliminated. Gridley's ESSM interceptors engage at lower altitude, 18,000 feet. Mach 3 closing speed. Active radar locks guide the final approach. Impact. 16 Venezuelan cruise missiles disintegrate. The interceptor warheads use focused fragmentation. Tungsten pellets shred missile bodies and guidance systems. Debris rains into the ocean. Some cruise missiles attempt evasive maneuvers. Programmed serpentine patterns. Altitude changes. The ESSM missiles follow perfectly. Thrust vectoring allows instantaneous direction changes. No escape, no survivors. Burke's SM-3 engagement happens in the edge of space, 85 miles altitude. The kinetic kill vehicles separate from boost motors. Tiny thrusters fire. Course corrections measured in fractions of degrees. Infrared sensors lock onto incoming Scud warheads, still accelerating downward. Terminal velocity approaching Mach 8. The impact happens at 5:46 a.m. Kinetic energy release equals several tons of TNT. Flash visible from 200 miles away. 8 ballistic missiles destroyed. 8 thermonuclear bright flashes. Debris re-enters atmosphere as meteorites. Some fragments reach the ocean. Others burn up. 0 reach their intended targets. But 84 missiles launched, only 30 intercepted. 54 remain inbound. The destroyers reload their targeting solutions. Second wave of interceptors launches. Oscar Austin fires 18 SM-2 missiles. Ripple launch, 1 every 0.8 seconds. The vertical launch system cycles at maximum rate. Gas generators fire. Missiles eject. Motors ignite. The destroyer disappears in a cloud of rocket exhaust. Gridley launches another 24 ESSM interceptors. Her magazines hold 128 defensive missiles. Plenty of capacity remaining. These interceptors spread across 40 separate targets. Multiple shots per threat. Layered defense. If the first interceptor misses, the second won't. Arleigh Burke pivots to cruise missile threats now that high-altitude ballistics are eliminated. Her SM-6 missiles represent dual-role capability: anti-air and anti-surface warfare. Each SM-6 carries an active radar seeker and infrared sensor. They don't need ship guidance after launch. Fire and forget. The missiles hunt independently. Network-enabled communications allow multiple SM-6s to coordinate attacks. They assign targets among themselves. No duplication. Maximum efficiency. Burke launches 22 SM-6 interceptors. Each one costs $4.3 million. She just fired $94.6 million in defensive missiles in 40 seconds. The engagement becomes a mathematical problem. 84 inbound threats, 3 destroyers, finite magazine depth, but overwhelming technological advantage. Aegis combat systems process targeting data faster than any human crew could comprehend. Threat assessment happens in milliseconds. Launch sequences execute automatically. Intercept probabilities calculate continuously. The computers show 98.7% success rate, less than 2 Venezuelan missiles expected to survive. Those leakers will face CIWS close-in weapon systems. Phalanx 20mm Gatling guns, last-ditch defense, 4,500 rounds per minute. Tungsten penetrator rounds. Anything that gets past the missiles faces a wall of lead. Venezuelan commanders watch their attack disintegrate on radar screens. Russian advisors stare in disbelief. They expected 70% of missiles to reach targets. American air defenses shouldn't stop more than 30% in their calculations. Those calculations proved catastrophically wrong. American Aegis capability exceeds anything Russian intelligence predicted. The technological gap is wider than Moscow believed. Beijing's analysts miscalculated equally badly. Iranian targeting data proves irrelevant when the missiles never reach impact zones. What would you have done as the destroyer captain? Engaged threats at maximum range or waited for closer shots? Comment your tactical choice below. By 5:49 a.m., 7 minutes after launch, 78 Venezuelan missiles are destroyed. Debris fields scatter across 200 miles of ocean. Wreckage sinks in water 15,000 feet deep. 6 missiles remain active. 3 cruise missiles and 3 ballistic weapons. The destroyers shift to terminal defense. CIWS systems activate. Radar directors track the survivors. Gatling guns traverse to intercept bearings. At 5:50 a.m., the first leaker enters terminal phase. Ballistic missile. Warhead separated from booster. Plunging toward Roosevelt Roads at Mach 6. Phalanx on USS Oscar Austin locks on. The gun spins to firing speed, 4,500 RPM. The barrel glows orange from friction heat. Depleted uranium rounds stream upward. The warhead enters the cone of fire. Impact. The warhead disintegrates 2,000 feet above the ocean. Explosive yield detonates harmlessly. Water spout rises 300 feet. No damage to any American asset. The final 5 missiles meet similar fates. 2 cruise missiles destroyed by coordinated SM-6 impacts at 12 miles range. 1 ballistic missile intercepted by SM-2 at 8 miles altitude. The last 2 cruise missiles close to within 4 miles of Puerto Rico. Close enough that civilians see them. Low-flying missiles, gray camouflage, Chinese C-802 anti-ship weapons reprogrammed for land attack. Phalanx systems on both Oscar Austin and shore-based installations engage simultaneously. 9,000 rounds per minute combined fire rate. The sky fills with tracers. Both missiles shred apart at 1.5 miles offshore. Debris impacts the ocean. 0 casualties, 0 damage, complete defensive victory. Total engagement time, 8 minutes 14 seconds. Venezuelan missiles destroyed, 84 out of 84. American casualties, 0. American infrastructure damage, 0. Missiles expended, 114 defensive interceptors. Total cost of defense, $487 million. Venezuela's entire attack budget was $340 million. America spent more defending than Venezuela spent attacking, and achieved perfect success. Every threat eliminated, every service member safe, every ship undamaged, every aircraft intact. The most one-sided air defense engagement in modern warfare. If you're finding value in this detailed tactical breakdown, take a second to hit that subscribe button so you're here for the next analysis. The aftermath reveals the stark reality of modern military capability gaps. Venezuela launched their most sophisticated attack, coordinated timing, mixed threat profiles, saturation tactics designed to overwhelm defenses. Russian advisors planned the strike. Chinese technicians programmed the missiles. Iranian intelligence selected targets. 3 adversarial nations pooled knowledge to create maximum American casualties. The result? Complete failure. Not a single missile reached its target. Not one American injured. Aegis combat systems proved so dominant that the engagement became routine after the first intercepts. Destroyer crews executed like training exercises. Calm, professional, methodical. The political fallout explodes within hours. Venezuelan government initially celebrates the attack. State media shows missile launches on continuous loop. Historic strike against American imperialism, reads the headline. Then reports arrive of total intercept. Every missile destroyed. 0 damage. The celebration transforms into humiliation. Government officials go silent. State media stops broadcasting the story. International condemnation arrives from every direction. Latin American nations distance themselves from Venezuela immediately. Brazil condemns the attack. Colombia closes its border. Argentina demands UN Security Council action. Chile recalls its ambassador. Venezuela's already isolated regime becomes a complete pariah. American response comes swiftly. President orders immediate military action against Venezuelan launch sites. At 7:15 a.m., 2 hours after the attack, cruise missiles launch from submarines in the Caribbean. 48 Tomahawk missiles. Each one costs $1.9 million. $91 million in ordnance. The Tomahawks strike every Venezuelan military installation involved in the launch. Missile batteries destroyed. Command bunkers collapsed. Radar installations obliterated. Airfields cratered. The strikes are surgical. No civilian casualties, only military targets, but comprehensive devastation of Venezuela's offensive capability. Russian advisors die in the strikes, Chinese technicians killed, Iranian intelligence officers eliminated. America's message is unmistakable. Attack us, and everyone involved pays the price. The strategic lessons resonate globally. First, Aegis combat systems represent near-perfect missile defense when properly employed. 84 for 84 intercept rate exceeds even optimistic projections. Technology works, training works, doctrine works. Second, saturation attacks fail against layered defenses. Venezuela threw everything they had. America destroyed everything they threw. Numbers alone don't overcome technological superiority. Third, proxy attacks carry consequences for all participants. Russia, China, and Iran learned their advisors aren't safe from retaliation. Fourth, American deterrence remains absolute. Attack U.S. territory and face destruction of your military capability within hours. The financial analysis tells a sobering story. Venezuela invested $340 million in missiles, lost everything, gained nothing. America spent $487 million defending, protected $40 billion in military infrastructure, saved 2,400 lives, preserved strategic positioning throughout the Caribbean. The return on investment is incalculable. Defense spending works. The missiles in those vertical launch cells earned their cost 10 times over. Every destroyer crew proved their training value. Every dollar invested in Aegis development paid dividends in this single engagement. Technology proved decisive at every level. Aegis radar detected threats instantly. Combat systems calculated solutions faster than humans could think. Vertical launch systems fired interceptors in rapid sequence. Missiles guided themselves to targets with computer precision. Kill vehicles maneuvered in space with thruster accuracy. The entire engagement operated at machine speed. Human crews monitored, approved broad strategies, but computers executed tactics. That combination of human judgment and machine precision creates overwhelming advantage. No adversary can match it currently. Chinese analysts studying the engagement reached disturbing conclusions. Their C-802 cruise missiles performed poorly. American defenses easily defeated them. Russian Scud variants proved equally ineffective. Iranian targeting data was worthless when missiles never reached targets. The combined capabilities of America's three primary adversaries tested against U.S. defenses. Total failure. Beijing's confidence in missile saturation attacks drops significantly. Moscow's belief in ballistic missile effectiveness shatters. Tehran's proxy warfare strategy faces new calculations. Every hostile nation revising their assumptions about American defensive capability. Allied nations draw opposite conclusions. Japan requests additional Aegis destroyer deployments. South Korea accelerates their SM-3 procurement. Australia orders more SM-6 missiles for their fleet. NATO allies increase defense spending to acquire similar capabilities. The demonstration of effective missile defense strengthens alliances and deters aggression simultaneously. Friends feel safer. Enemies feel vulnerable. Exactly the strategic outcome Washington wants. This deep-dive tactical analysis requires significant effort to produce. Make sure you're subscribed and hit that notification bell so you never miss content like this. The human element deserves recognition. Destroyer crews trained for exactly this scenario. Monthly drills, quarterly exercises, annual certifications, thousands of hours preparing for the moment when training becomes reality. At 5:42 a.m., simulation became actual combat. Every sailor executed perfectly. No panic, no mistakes, no hesitation. Combat Information Center personnel tracked hundreds of targets simultaneously. Weapons coordinators assigned interceptors optimally. Fire control technicians maintained system performance under extreme stress. Every role crucial, every person delivered. Venezuelan military leadership faces tribunals. Their government crumbles within weeks. Coup removes the dictator responsible for ordering the attack. New leadership immediately requests peace negotiations. They surrender every missile system, every radar installation, every command facility. Complete disarmament of offensive capability. International monitors verify compliance. Venezuela will remain militarily irrelevant for a generation. Their foolish attack destroyed their own armed forces more effectively than any invasion could achieve. The broader message resonates throughout Latin America. Anti-American governments reconsider their positions. Nicaragua quietly improves diplomatic relations. Cuba stops hostile rhetoric. Bolivia requests economic cooperation. The demonstration of American military capability, combined with willingness to use overwhelming force, creates powerful deterrent effect. Nations that considered aggression think twice. Nations that maintained hostility recalculate. American influence in the Western Hemisphere strengthens significantly. Was this Venezuelan attack a desperate regime's last gasp, or a calculated test of U.S. defenses orchestrated by Russia and China? Drop your analysis in the comments. Which weapon system impressed you most? SM-3 space intercepts, SM-6 versatility, or ESSM close-range kills? Let us know your pick. If you made it this far, you're the kind of engaged viewer who makes this channel grow. Smash that like button, hit subscribe if you haven't already, and share this analysis with anyone who needs to understand modern air defense and why America's technological edge matters. Your engagement directly influences what we cover next. Thanks for watching. Stay informed, stay sharp, and remember that freedom requires constant vigilance, backed by superior technology and trained personnel. 84 missiles launched at American territory. 84 missiles destroyed. 0 damage, 0 casualties. Perfect defense. That's the standard. That's the commitment. That's why hostile nations think twice before attacking the United States. See you in the next tactical breakdown.